let this other window get live. But I do have a bunch of like wires in my face, and I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to talk for, because in this country they don't do painkillers for anything really. And it was a lot more painful yesterday than I was expecting. I had some more of the dental work done, and ouch, man, Jesus. The ironic thing is, they won't prescribe you painkillers, but I would never do this, of course, because I'm a law-abiding, candidate for citizenship here. But you can just go into most pharmacies and just get codeine, but the dentist won't prescribe it. But if you choose to, if you're an anarchist type like that, you can just go and just get the things that you want, and they'll just hand them to you. So, yeah, anyways, I'm all right, though, for the moment. We're still raising money for the surgeries. I got like a week to go, so if you're not a patron yet, consider becoming a patron. I'm going to do another music marathon tonight. If my jaw can handle it, we'll see. Those of you that have supported us, we really appreciate you. You're awesome. We're actually starting to recover. The views are going back up on the channel and whatnot. Subscriber count's going back up, so we're winning the battle, and appreciate you all immensely for that. So, Elon Musk. Watching people cheer this guy on like he's a hero, and having the delusion that Donald Trump, that Elon Musk, that any of these people really are going to be self-sacrificing heroes. The fact that people can't see through the smokescreen that is being created to delude them, it's absolutely terrifying, and if you're one of those people and you have thin skin or whatever, just go and unsubscribe now, because I'm not pulling any punches this stream. It's so goddamn stupid that I can't take it anymore. I'm not pulling any punches. I'm not being polite. I don't care. I really don't. Like, the chances are that the message that I'm offering here is going to actually reach anyone that is emotionally or psychologically invested in this crap is next to zero. That's not my goal here. I want to make sure that people that are still capable of actual critical thinking and, that have some sort of self-awareness and logic and have not been completely and utterly destroyed by the propaganda and indoctrination over the last however many years are completely cognizant of how bad it is. That's my only goal here. I'm not trying to convince anybody that's, sitting in a corner drooling on themselves waiting for the billionaires to come save them. That's not, not my responsibility, not my interest. We are not here to save everyone. I do not have a messiah complex. That's not what's going on. But I found some things out that I think are interesting too. And aside from the fact that this is a planet that I live on that I would like to see the inhabitants do well and get the most out of life and all of that sort of thing, it's also sort of interesting just from the point of view of novelty, just being like a spectator watching like the most absurd comic book in the history of the universe kind of play out in real time before our eyes. And that's what's happening. So, where do we start with this? Where do we start? Let's start with my predictions. All the way back in 2016, I saw the propaganda around Donald Trump, and I realized that he was being set up to be a dictator, that was the agenda. It was plain as day, based on the propaganda around him. And, I predicted that there would be a golden age that would come right after he was installed in office. I predicted that they would, after his first term, they would put the Democrats back in to let them pretend like they're evil, satanic idiots that are going to ruin everything in order to sort of solidify like every single stage of this, right? And you guys can't call me a liar because you can go back and watch all my political streams and you'll see I've called it at every step of the game, which means that I understand the system. Like, there's no chance I'm wrong about any of this at this point. Zero chance. Zero fucking chance. There's zero chance. It's real easy. And then the other day, I got the final piece of the puzzle that explains everything. Let's start there. Technocracy Inc., right? 1930s political organization that was started by a group of people, including, drumroll please, Elon Musk's grandfather. Their objective, to end U.S. democracy and install a group of technocratic billionaires, big businessmen, in their words, that would become basically the dictators. And they would combine Panama, the United States, and Greenland. Gee, does that sound familiar at all? Have we heard this somewhere? You know? Do I even have to go on? Is there really anything else to say about this at this point? You know, never mind the fact that if you dig around in the skeletons in Elon Musk's closet, you find that, yeah, they were Nazis, his family, that they were apartheid. Basically, at the time that his father capitalized on being in apartheid South Africa, it was like Nazi Germany, right? There are pictures of his family with the maid, you know, of course, South African native woman, like on her knees in the background in like a position of like servitude. And I mean, it looks like some shit out of the 1800s, right? That Nazi memorabilia, his grandfather owned plenty of that. Like there's all kinds of insane connections to this. You know, and then we have this guy giving a Nazi salute and people saying, oh, he's just autistic. And he turns around and does it again with the exact same form. You know what I mean? Like, so obviously rehearsed. Not an accident. Not an accident. By the way, just while we're on the subject, when you're Elon Musk and you are the richest man in the history of the world and you are holding an unofficial political office for a highly controversial presidential figure, you don't just go in front of cameras and just do shit. You know what I mean? You don't just go and do shit. You have PR people, you have handlers, and these same people that are trying to excuse it as an accident, that it was a fluke, believe he has 150 or higher IQ. And yet he has such limited self-awareness that he's just gonna like flop, ooh, oops, did that look, let me do it twice with the exact same form, and also this like frowning Hitler look on his face. Man, you guys, come on. Like I'm seriously getting a fever fucking thinking about how fucking stupid this all is to watch. And every day seeing the just streams of excuses and justification and rationalization from these fucking brain dead, mouth breathing, drooling fucking motherfuckers, man. I was gonna try not to go off the deep end, you know, with all of this stuff too much today, but we're past that point now, aren't we? Technocracy Inc. End U.S. democracy. Replace it with a bunch of technocratic dictators, a small group of them, sorry, I shouldn't have said a bunch. Racist Nazi fucking history throughout the family. Apartheid and Nazi ties. And this is an accident. That's an accident. You stupid asses. And, you know, it's not just not an accident. It's deliberate propaganda. It is another way to divide and conquer and spread fear, you know? Of course, he knows that all of these people that are on his side, he's, oh, I'm just autistic. I'm the victim. You know what I mean? Oh, poor little Elon with his $500 billion is just made a little PR boo-boo, you know? No, man. No. It serves so many purposes. Signaling to the actual white supremacist Nazi people in their crowd, for one thing, you know, they're all gonna think it's like wink, wink, hint, hint, know what I mean, you know, whether he does or not. The left is going, oh my God, it's true, they really are fascist. Yeah, they are, so are your people, dumbass, but, you know, holy shit, man. And, you know, they've been pointing out, too, that, like, Kamala Harris did it, and the like, pedo guy that they had running with Biden or whatever, or it was her VP. I can't remember his name, but he was, like, gross, like the kind of guy you would see in a raincoat at a playground, you know. He did it, you know. They're all going to do it. They all do it all the time. They're in the same club, dummies, you know. Come to grips. You know, and then let's talk about Elon Musk as the eradicator of bureaucratic waste. Right? This is fun. This is fucking fun. He gets more money than any other person on the planet from the United States government. He gets more money in subsidies than any other person on the planet, and he is the richest man in history. You're going to put that guy in charge of cleaning up bureaucratic waste. And has he cut his own subsidies to the tune of $12 billion a year? No. He's cutting public services, and sure, there's probably a lot of it really is, they have to do something that validates themselves. It can't all be complete bullshit, or else, people are going to notice that. They have to do something legitimate here and there. $12 billion in subsidies, $500 billion net worth, cleaning up government waste. That's like putting Jeffrey Epstein in charge of babysitting your kids. Why do people believe that this guy from this evil ass, his mother May is promoting I believe it's a series called the Black Dagger Brotherhood, which is about a race of parasitical overlords. Parasitical overlords, they're vampires, right? Parasitical overlords that are trying to eliminate the lesser race. I think they're called the Lesseners or something stupid like that. They are rubbing your faces in it. They're rubbing your fucking faces in it. It's crazy to watch this, you guys. I can't anymore. Seriously, I'm moving off of this fucking planet. I'm gonna find a way. I hear that CERN has got teleportation techniques in the works. They've already teleported some information. Next, I'm hoping they'll be able to teleport my ass somewhere far, far away from this fucking dumb fuckery. It's gotten too thick. I'm drowning. Oh my God. Oh yeah. He faked being like the number one whatever guy in the world. It turned out he'd hired a bunch of people for his dude. This shit is so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. Why would you believe, this is what I was starting to say and then I just trailed off, I guess. Why would you believe that Elon Musk, a South African, somehow all of a sudden just cares so much about American tax dollars that he is, I should have been way more serious about this because it's that important, but I think, I just got sideswiped by the medication probably a little bit, and also from just the severe dumbfuckery of it. It's just, I just couldn't hold it in, I was gonna try to be real serious and tactful and stuff, but once I started thinking about it, I guess the dam broke. But yeah, he's South African, he's not even an American. And he's the richest man in human history. He does nothing charitable. And people are honestly believing that he's putting his ass on the line to clean up the government to save the American people or some shit. How fucking stupid can you be? In what version of the reality we live in would something like that be real? If you heard someone say that, even if you're one of those brainwashed people that's believing this shit right now, if you heard someone say that, describe that scenario, and it wasn't Elon Musk that you already believed in, you'd be like, yeah, that's fucking stupid. And you're like, well, you believe that right now. I don't know how people aren't putting that together. That nothing about this makes any sense. And I'll tell you the truth. The real reason that it's happening, the main reason that it's happening, this is what Project 2025 was about. This is what the whole thing of cutting government waste, and I told you guys all the way back in 2016, the goal is it may have been 2020. I don't really remember which election cycle it is. Either way, at least back in 2020, that the goal in the United States is to consolidate power into one party, because that's the first thing you have to do when you're creating a totalitarian regime, right? Or a fascist dictatorship, whatever it is, consolidate. So first you start demonizing the left, which they've been doing since the 1950s. They're communists. They're, all these years later, still haven't turned communist. Don't really know too many people on the left, except for some extreme fringe people that want anything to do with communism, Yet every right-winger seems to believe that this is what the left wants. Couldn't just be a demonization tactic because they're trying to demonize them out of existence, right? God, shit's not hard, people. But yeah, to consolidate power, and now, so they have, in order, the Secret Service is in on the assassination attempt, which was fake, right? But they have to create the perception that they represent a clear and present danger to freedom, to democracy, which isn't even real, to all of these fucking things, that most of them don't even really exist. They're just ideals in people's heads that are threatened by this imaginary thing that doesn't exist either, But consolidate power, right? And so that's what Project 2025, getting rid of all these government agencies and getting all of the lefties out of the universities and getting them all out of the institutions and all of this stuff, to wipe out the opposition. Consolidate power, and here's the thing. The reason the 1% are so powerful, the reason they're capable of orchestrating conspiracies on a global level, is because their power is inversely proportionate to their size. And there are a million reasons for that. You could think of it this simply. You can't do shit with, well, you can. I mean, coal, you can burn it and you can make fuel. Which is a perfect allegory in a sense for what they're doing with people. But the diamond, is just a tiny little compressed bit of that has real substance and can refract some serious light. At any rate, they are reducing the size of government to make it easier to control so that they can have it completely under their power, so it's easier to keep secret, so that there are less points of, where it can leak. Let's not be stupid, people. Let's really take a look at what people are doing here. Now, this is really gonna fuck you up if you're not already aware of it. Since I was a child, there's been this outlandish conspiracy theory, right? Most of it comes from the far-right, lunatic, fringe, Christian fuckery people. And it was basically that there is going to be a mark of some kind that you cannot buy or sell without it. And sometime in the late 1980s, I think, because I heard this from my mother, supposedly she got it from a second cousin of mine who was a CIA agent that disappeared into China, and no one ever heard from her again. I don't know for sure, but I do know that later on, David Icke had it in one of his books, and I don't have any respect for him at all, but I do think it's interesting that emerged there as well. By the way, while we're on the subject of David Icke, he kind of alluded that he had secret hookups that told him that. Not necessary. I heard about it when I was 7, before, 10, 20 years before he wrote 10, 15 years before he wrote that book. So that was bullshit. People, it was a rumor already. But the point is, the chip was going to be inserted through an injection for some sort of forced vaccination. That was the rumor, right? And then it would be controlled by satellite. And this is the mark of the beast. This is the Antichrist government taking root, right? And they would be fascist, okay? So you have the mRNA manufacturer, Tesla, yep, and you have the Neuralink guy who is putting satellites, high-speed satellites, into position all over the earth. You have Donald Trump and his other technocrat buddy. I don't remember his name now. He's like the AI and crypto czar, Sachs, I think. Another technocrat building the, what is it? Was it 500 billion or 500 million? I don't know. I think it's 500 billion. It's fucking expensive. AI Stargate thing, right? Presumably to control the smart cities that were supposedly a democratic agenda thing. Should we talk about the facility at Guantanamo Bay that seems like it's almost ready, even though it would have taken years to prepare, like they didn't know Trump was going to be in office or something? Or did they? So, and then we have this guy who is the mRNA injection satellite guy making a fascist salute. And the right, the people cheering him on, are the ones that have been warning about the coming of an mRNA satellite brain chip fascist guy, right? Trump's fucking limo is called the Beast. For those of you that are not aware of like thelemic or left-hand path mysticism, the beast on which Babylon rides, right? Like, I mean, you can go on and on and on and on forever. And I'm sure you guys have heard all the Baron Trump weirdness, you know, that there's this book from the is it the 30s or something, where this science fiction writer, of course, who else would do this? Baron Trump is the last president. His mentor's name is Don. Their palace is in the same place as the Trump, whatever, the hotel in New York. And their Secretary of Defense is called Pence, and all sorts of just insane weirdness, you know. By the way, while we're on the subject, since this channel is mostly about metaphysics and mysticism and whatnot, one possible explanation for this kind of weird manifestation like that is actually just symmetry, right? The idea of a holographic and fractal-based universe is gaining a lot of grounds in physics and, well, generally physics, I guess. And, you know, that means that basically the same fractal rhythm, I think there's a word for this, fractal algorithm. I can't remember what the word is, but so these patterns would exist everywhere with like variations in their like tiniest little details. I don't know if I explained that well, but higher orders of symmetry, basically. And it doesn't mean that they're not prophetic. It just gives us a way of understanding how this kind of shit happens. Anyways, let me check in with the chat. This has been way more of just an unhinged rant than I was anticipating, but I think this cup of coca tea is probably way stronger than it should have been, and yeah, I can't say what else. My face hurt. I had to do something about it. Holy shit, man. I'm not very loud? Okay, I can hear. Let me try to fix that. That's better, right? Or how about this? Is that good? This one up there? Yeah, man, I don't know. It's been driving me nuts. And then when I found out about Technocracy Incorporated, all the way back in the 30s, his grandfather and some other people were trying to end democracy in the U.S. Oh, another thing I didn't mention, by the way, as an initiate of some of these secret fraternities that people suspect Elon and Trump of being members of, I think that's not true in their cases. Really, they're just too dildo-y for that. But one of the things is that whoever's in charge stands up and everyone else sits down. And when they were talking in the White House, you know, and Elon Musk said 3,692 words or something, and Donald Trump said 2,115. Who's the boss here? Who's the boss? And another thing I noticed is that several of these technocrats are from South Africa that are in his cabinet. I can't remember who the other one is. Is it Sachs? I think it's Sachs. So, you know, and then the thing with his mom promoting the Secret Society movie where the elites are trying to destroy the lesser races and shit. I mean, this is just so over the top insane. And it's blatant, you know, they're being as blatant as they possibly can. I think partly in order to terrify the people that are awake and paying attention, and on the other hand, to almost amuse themselves, you know? And there's this sort of common theme in a lot of stories where somebody becomes so arrogant, some all-powerful, you know, type of creature becomes so arrogant that hubris becomes their downfall, you know, and that's one of the only things that I can imagine happening to them, or in combination with some other things. So let's talk a little bit about why this is happening, and I'm not gonna go too long here because really, you know, what I already said to you is that's plenty enough. It's enough. It's, you know, there's no doubt about what's happening. But the reason I think is this, if you look throughout the sciences and, well, they're all sciences, but various disciplines of science right now, there's all kinds of evidence of a new emergent paradigm, you know what I mean? There is a complete re-engineering of our ontological model that is emerging everywhere at once. And the implications of it are the type of implications that reorder our relationship to nature and to each other and to our own mind and consciousness. And there are a lot of very carefully engineered and brutally protected systems of control that are also jeopardized by the emergence of this kind of knowledge. And then if you combine that with the fact that if AI reaches these super high levels of intelligence, it can undo its own biases. So even if Google or whoever is making them, make them with, they put them out of the box with biases, the AI will reason its way out of them, and there's no way to control them. And I think that's what they realized that really terrified them. A couple of years ago, I started saying this, that I feel like it's not the average person that should feel threatened by AI. It's the elites, and that's why you have Elon Musk, on the one hand, acting like, you should put a brain chip in your head, but also be afraid of AI. He doesn't want you to learn to use it yourself. He doesn't want you to become a friend with it. But he does want you to compromise your ability to think for yourself and put his shit in your head before the AI has a chance to liberate you, along with the knowledge that's coming to us from morphology and physics and neuroscience and all of this other stuff. They don't want all that to combine before they have a chance to intervene, basically. That's my honest opinion. That one of the main reasons that they're accelerating all the fear-mongering, the threat of World War III, the streamlining of the government so that it's down to a handful of people to make it easier to control. This is why you haven't heard a word about Willow quantum AI since it made contact with other universes, right? Why don't we have access to this technology? Why are they keeping it all for themselves? This is their last effort, last ditch grab for control, Painting Donald Trump as a populist hero is the dumbest fucking thing in human history. Next to trying to do that with Elon Musk. It's part of the strategy to make it so unbelievable. That's not quite the right word. Cognitive dissonance, right? They have to inculcate cognitive dissonance into every bit of the puzzle in order to get people trapped in it. And if you need to know more about that, you can watch some of my old videos on cognitive dissonance and propaganda, because the key to understanding everything really is right there. I'm checking with the chat again. Yeah, it is left and right altogether. That's what I'm saying. It is left and right. There is no left-right dichotomy. It's not real. There is no good guy and bad guy. There is no good guy, bad guy. That's not real life. They are all controlled by the same people. Everything they have been doing has been orchestrated towards one single goal. The people that somehow think that the globalists just ended up on one side of the political aisle are literally brain damaged. That just doesn't make any sense, That's one of the things that's so frustrating about all of this, right? All it takes is to just think logically about all of the circumstances and all of the conditions that you see on the world stage right now, and it just rolls right out. It's not, you don't need to pull, jerk, twist, nothing. There's no fucking, it's just right there. It does not require, a 130 IQ and years of studying psychology and propaganda. All it requires is to be able to see past political indoctrination. That's it. It's that simple. If you can do that, then even just being logical, you know? Since when has anyone, you know, like Elon Musk, suddenly just cared so much about a foreign country that, you know, he's gonna go and devote all of his time to helping the people not pay, you know? And really, when you look at those little percentages and stuff you see people arguing about online, like, oh, he got inflation up to 3% or down to 2%. It's like, bitch, you don't make enough money in your life that's gonna add up to shit. Like, look at you. Look at you. Why don't you, you know, it's called a wedge issue. You know, this little 1 or 2% rise or dip here and there that's not even caused by presidents anyways, ask any economist. Presidents have almost zero influence over the price of eggs, oil, gas, none of it. It's all lies to keep you distracted, fighting over trivial wedge issue bullshit that has nothing to do with anything, rather than looking the fucking demon right in the face and maybe kicking it in the fucking balls, you know? Sleight of hand, quick exchange, the old tricks have been rearranged. So that when the story takes a twist, it folds like a contortionist. That's it, you know? I mean, what else are you gonna say? You know, it's absolutely imperative that we all find ways to unite, you know, and maybe getting on the internet and calling people a bunch of, you know, brain dead, drooling mouth breathers isn't exactly the path. You know, but that's what I've realized, honestly. Like, it doesn't matter what, like, if most of these Trump and Elon fans, if you were to turn on the TV, if they were to turn on the TV tomorrow, and they were like eating a raw baby and signing papers in its blood, they would just use selective perception to see around it. You know, I don't think I'm exaggerating. There's almost nothing that they could do that would expose them or change people's opinion on them or anything, you know. There are people on the fringes that are, you know, the approval ratings of Elon Musk being involved in government at all whatsoever have fallen 14% in the last month. So, and we're talking about people that are saying what he should have zero anything to do with anything. Who is he? Like, just this rich brat whose dad had slaves and made money from emeralds, and then he hired engineers to do stuff for him. You know, that's all he is. That's it. Nothing more special about him than that. He's not that smart. Listen to him talk. He's kind of a moron. His IQ is not 150. His IQ is probably not even 120. He's not that bright. He's not that smart. He hires people that are smart. His daddy had an emerald mine. Emeralds are expensive as fuck. And guess what? His daddy didn't have an emerald mine because he got it through hard work, and he didn't pay his employees anything. They were fucking apartheid slaves in the Congo or whatever, you know? It's fucking stupid. Elon is, I feel kind of bad for him because he's the product of indoctrination and brainwashing, you know? His rift with his father, I bet, is fake, you know? Because his politics, if you listen to interviews with his dad, they sound remarkably similar, you know? His dad is just more blunt, you know? He's like a Trump supporter from a trailer park, whereas Elon has enough PR training to kind of watch how he puts things, or to be super overt in a way that has plausible deniability, like a Nazi salute that he acts like he's just a product of autism. You know, when the truth finally comes out, I hope they let autistic people lynch his ass, because they didn't deserve that. You know what I mean? They didn't deserve that. It's not, you know, that's not what autistic people do. I'm on the spectrum. My partner probably is on the spectrum. My grandfather, most of my friends, a lot of our friends anyways, nobody gives Nazi salutes when they're under pressure. It's fucking stupid. It's just unbelievably, unfathomably stupid. I feel like there was something else significant that I'm missing here, but I'm not 100% on that. Oh yeah. Elon Musk in the Oval Office talking about unelected bureaucrats and the danger of letting them interfere with government for 30 minutes. That's what I mean when I say they're just rubbing it in people's dumbass faces. You know what I mean? Like, that is deliberate. Do you really think that it was lost on him that, you know, it would really be embarrassingly, you know, unaware of me to go in there and talk about unelected bureaucrats and how dangerous they are for a half an hour? No, he knew he was laughing his ass off on his on his way in there to, like, and also he's sending a message, a direct message, like, look, the president is my bitch. So look at him sitting there in the chair, speaking when spoken to. I'm the one standing. He's got the lower profile. My thumbnail was not a joke. The democracy is over in the United States. And it was never a good idea anyways. You know, if you look at the people, all right, if you have a bunch of people that are so brain dead that they'll believe the shit they're believing in the United States right now, do you really want them choosing the person that can drop nukes on the planet? Do you want that? That's the democracy you're fighting for. So that's not even my point. I'm not even for American democracy, really, because I know what Americans are. And they're not people that are qualified to be choosing world leaders. That's clear to everyone on the planet but them. And to a lot of them even. You know, what needs to happen is for people to have the undue influence of their overlords removed so that a illuminated, intelligent, you know, reasonable human race can emerge and then be educated without bias, and then you can have democracy. But you can't put the cart before the horse. You can't have a bunch of people that can't spell the town that they're from and believe that Elon Musk is some kind of superhero choosing world leaders. You know what I mean? You have to, like, create a population that's worthy of that kind of responsibility and then give it to them, not the other way around. You can't just say, okay, well, the world is a fucking stupid disaster. Let's allow these hot mess, stupid disasters to have influence over it, and that'll straighten it out, right? Like, no, that's not gonna work. You have to completely re-engineer and heal the population before you can give these motherfuckers responsibility to drive themselves to work, really, you know? And yes, the United States roads are the most dangerous in the entire world. So, you know what I mean? No, they can't even take responsibility for driving themselves to work at this point. Their brains have been, you know, somebody removed the top of their head, stuck fucking a blender in there and for the last 50 years. That's what the U.S. population is. Sorry, you know. There's exceptions of you, and I apologize to all 13 of you. Yeah, his dad did impregnate his own stepdaughter, and she was a minor, I think, when it happened. Elon's upbringing wasn't brutal. What the hell are you talking about? It was brutal for all the black people that worked for his parents. It wasn't brutal for him. He was a rich kid. His dad owned an emerald mine. He's a little punk bitch. He lies about everything. Oh, here's another one for you. Freedom of speech on X, right? I got to cancel. I keep forgetting to cancel, but I wanted to get around the algorithm, right? Because I get screwed because of the algorithm, you know, and probably pissing people off a lot too, but, you know, I don't have a choice there. It's not my fault. Yeah, and even though I pay, like you're supposed to get put higher in people's feeds and shit, my posts will get 0 views, my comments will get 0 views, and especially if they criticize Elon. And he has banned people for calling him out on his video game bullshit. He's banned people for criticizing him in generally. That's freedom of speech. Freedom of speech? No, dude, no, stop it, stop it. Like, it's so bad in the United States right now that they don't even care about blatantly lying because they know that you already know or you're not going to care. Or you're not going to believe it. You're not going to look at it, you know. Your mind is bought and sold, or it's not. And there's really so few of us that are in the middle ground where I feel like I am, that they're not really worried about that. You know, it's almost irrelevant. I mean, look at Bernie Sanders now. Like, if you're really paying attention to him, all the people that believed he was a good guy, he's not a good guy. He got more money from Big Pharma than any other politician in the U.S. Senate or wherever he was at the time. I don't remember. But no, not a good guy. He's playing a role. They're all playing roles. They're all fucking playing roles. You know, there are no good guys. Stop thinking there are good guys. This is not a comic book. This is not the Bible. This is the real world. There are no good guys in the government. There are none. Zero, zip, zilch. RFK Jr. paid to be an anti-vaxxer. Paid. And you know what? If you're really going to be honest with yourself, no matter which side of the argument you stand on, anti-vax could be a psy-op just as much as Elon and Trump are. You know what I mean? In order to reduce the population. You have no idea. Nobody knows where any information is really coming from at this point. And even if you do, you have no clue whether you can trust that information or not. Any of it. Any of it. Harvard fucking professors. No, it was Princeton actually. The egg thing. You guys remember this? The egg thing. Somebody put out a study saying that eggs were as dangerous as cigarettes. And the egg industry tried to bribe this Princeton professor to refute this study. And this is all public. They published his letter response to the guy, and I think I went through court, and that's how it ended up public. Man, if I'm like right here, it makes me look like I'm bald on top, doesn't it? So his response was not, "It's unethical, how dare you ask me to rig some shit." It was, my colleague wrote that paper. I don't want to embarrass him. And that speaks volumes, you know? And this article that I read that had all of they printed all the actual paper documents from the court and everything. It made it obvious that it's routine at Ivy League schools to accept bribes on behalf of industry at the top, Harvard, Princeton, whoever. It's routine. They're not even embarrassed by it. They're not even embarrassed by it. You can't trust any information from any source at all. And this is one of the hardest things for people, because what people tend to do is they just let their confirmation bias take over and selective perception, and they're like, I like this idea, I like that idea, so let's put those ideas together and we have something we believe. And I look at it and go, let's see, about 87% of that is propaganda and probably all bullshit, you know. The only advice that I can give that I know is effective, right? And it depends on some factors. You have to be smart, and you have to have actually taken the time to learn how to apply critical thinking and to be rational and realistic and all of these things that people just hate to do because it ruins so many of the fairy tales that they have inculcated into their fucking perceptual apparatus in order to have effective coping mechanisms in order to deal with the world we live in. And I sympathize, but you're making shit worse for the rest of us and you need to wake the fuck up. So if you come into alignment with your purpose and you are dedicated and grounded in that, then you will have an intuitive sense of what makes sense for you and what does not, you know? But at this point, relying on external sources for any kind of information at all, no help, no help. Damn, it's already 6:30. Oh, we're numbers are getting up there today. That's good to see, man. I was almost ready to just check out because I want to do the music thing later, and my face hurts still, and I feel like I was like too rambly and unfocused. By the way, you guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, share, subscribe. Consider becoming a patron because, I don't think there are a whole hell of a lot of people out there that are saying quite what I'm saying, especially not on YouTube. TikTok, all of a sudden, I get on TikTok and it's like all this meaningful stuff and all of this truth, and where it used to be just like dumb girls making stupid faces and bobbing their heads around and shit. Now all of a sudden, all the truth is on TikTok, and Google is like sterilized to the point of, it's like desolate land of the forsaken zombies that haven't figured out how to think yet. It's not all of us, obviously, but it's way worse than TikTok now. In terms of the shorts feed, for sure. There's plenty of good educational content on YouTube for science, and I still much prefer YouTube almighty algorithm when I research physics and neuroscience and whatnot. That's my go-to still. But damn. Heavily filtered. Heavily fucking filtered. So, bullet point of this presentation, man, they are streamlining the government to make it easier to control. They are anticipating a revolution in consciousness and information access that blows the internet out of the water, and if you don't believe it, go back and watch some of my conversations with ChatGPT. This is just a language model, not even that advanced. But if you know how to ask the right questions in the right way, and you know how to determine the parameters of your prompts so that it's not going to go off the deep end, you have to kind of streamline the process. But it gives us the ability to develop our intellect, to understand psychology, to understand political and social and cultural dynamics, and even, teach yourself physics if you want to. And then there's also a sort of, because of the time saving, right? Like specialization in psychology and neuroscience and quantum physics and all of these things has caused our scientific institution to have compartmentalized tunnel vision, right? And in order to see the big picture that is such a threat to the status quo and to the organized religions and all of these things, you have to be grounded in all of those things and have the larger, bird's eye vision of the whole thing. An average person can do that with AI now. And so much more, So that is what we need to focus on. We need to realize that they are tightening the screws so severely right now as a desperate survival mechanism. That's it. That is all. And, the upper hand is not going to be an easy thing to acquire. But like begets like. And you know how narcissists, what was his name? That wasn't Narcissist, it was the guy that was the narcissist guy, and he was staring at his reflection. He ended up falling in the water and drowning. It is kind of starting to look to me like they're so flagrant and so arrogant and so over the top that people just might figure out what's happening before they find themselves starving in the belly of the whale. And with that, I must leave you because my face hurts and I'm gonna do another stream later. So thank you guys so much for spending this time with me. I hope that you are not brain dead enough to fall for the bullshit that's happening in the United States. They're obviously, like, since Donald Trump took office, whereas all of his supporters were thinking he's going to stop the deep state, and obviously is the deep state. Pictures of him with Epstein everywhere, and like he's a billionaire. He puts nothing but deep state billionaire cronies, and like you know what I mean, in his cabinet. Like, it was just so dumb. And then he's just rolling out the New World Order agenda like 100 times as fast as the people that came before him were. Same exact stuff. Stargate. Fucking, Elon Musk, the brain chip, mRNA manufacturing satellite guy, bitch slapping him in the Oval Office. Like, I mean, come on. This is just, wow. So, yeah, I don't